We continue to follow this breaking news out of Gaza. Israel's war cabinet has voted to approve an offensive in Rafah, but says it's continuing to work towards a ceasefire. Let's bring in CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tyab. Imtiaz, it's so great to have you joining us from London. Of course, you have continuously covered the war there. So Israel says it is looking at the ceasefire plan or exploring that Hamas has agreed to from Egypt and Qatar. What do we know about this plan, and how does it differ from what Israel has proposed? Why it would not agree?
Yeah, it's been an extraordinary few hours, it has to be said. I mean, up until the news broke that Hamas had agreed this deal that Egypt and Qatar, two countries which have really been at the heart of negotiating with Israel, Hamas, the U.S. as well, that they've come to an agreement. Whereas before that, what were we talking about? We were talking about Israel's invasion of Rafah. Now, we will talk about that in a bit, but we are now getting details of what that potential deal could look like. Again, the deal that Hamas says that it will sign. I'm just going to sort of break it down to you very briefly here. The first stage would last 40 days. In that 40 days, we would see at least 33 hostages, live hostages, released. Israel, in turn, would release 40 Palestinian prisoners for every soldier that's released, and would release 20 Palestinian prisoners for every 20 Palestinian prisoners for every civilian. Now, here's where things get interesting as well. What we would also see in exchange for that is a temporary ceasefire and a withdrawal of Israeli forces from densely populated areas, as well as an increase in aid. Then, Lilia, we have a second part of this deal, which would last 42 days. This would see the release of all, and I'm quoting here, live male hostages. In return, Israel would agree to the release of an agreed number of Palestinians. But again, what's crucial here is that it would also see, and I'm quoting here, the full withdrawal of the Israeli military from the Gaza Strip. Now, there's a third phase here that would see the return of the bodies of Israelis, dead Israelis still being held in Gaza. Israel, in turn, would return the remains of Palestinians who have died and are still in Israeli custody, and would see the start of a 5-year reconstruction plan for the Gaza Strip. This is a deal that Hamas has said it has agreed to. It is a deal in which we've seen on our screens people on the streets of Gaza celebrating, and people inside Israel, hostage families coming to the center of Tel Aviv to say to their government, take this deal. Lilia.
Oh, Imtiaz, I am just kind of taking notes of what you're saying. And as I look down at the notes, something really jumps out at me. The IDF out of densely populated areas of Gaza, that seems like they might agree to. But the entirety you mentioned that the Israel leaving Gaza entirely would be kind of this third phase. That to me sounds so unlikely. What are the odds that Israel would agree to that?
It's a very, very good question. It's a question that everyone's asking, presumably many Israelis and the Israeli government right now. Now, we have heard a very brief statement from the Israeli government. All we've heard from them is saying that this deal that Hamas has agreed to is, quote, far from necessary of what they expect to achieve. In saying that, we've also heard from people who have been paying very close attention to these negotiations, which, as we know, have been going on for months. The last time we saw a hostage exchange, prisoner exchange release deal was back in November. You know, we're now here in May. And what we're hearing from people who have been very closely paying attention to some of the deals that have come very close but not have been achieved, that this is not very different from those deals. In fact, it's very similar to deals that Israel has hinted it might actually agree to. But we also have to consider the politics of the moment, and this specific moment. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who of course is at the very heart of this, has politics he needs to consider himself at home in Israel, and that is his far-right cabinet, who has said they do not want a deal. They want to see they want to see an invasion of Rafah, and they want to see Hamas defeated once and for all. So there's a big gulf between what the Israeli people want and what Benjamin Netanyahu's far-right government coalition wants.
One would wonder, I mean, which carries more weight? I can imagine that the ongoing protests in Israel, people demanding that the hostages come back home, would be heavier. But I know you'll continue reporting on that. Imtiaz, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.